I think the key to dealing with Iran is you have to work with the Russians. Um, it's part of like Iran is basically Iran is going to is going to survive as a country. It's not like America going to war with Iran is a viable option for us. The key, of course, is Iran has been looking for more regional power. Essentially, it's been trying to expand its influence and power in the region. At this point, it seems like there's some good relations being fostered in the last few years with Saudi Arabia, which is nice to see because obviously that's such a it's one of these old religious divides, right? Plus, between the two powers, the Saudis and the Iranians, the Persians, there's a lot of hostility between Arabs and Persians, we know. So I'm hoping to see more peace between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Maybe that's one way of bringing Iran more into an ability to get along with its neighbors. Look, I'm not pro-Iranian at this point in the sense that I respect and love the Persian history and culture, but I'm not a fan of the any Islamic fanatics, and the mullahs to me are Islamic fanatics, and I think they're using this excuse of Israel, occupying, let's say, like Israel's occupations, in the West Bank, in Gaza, things like this, right? They use these as justifications for attacking the West. But, you know, I don't really believe a lot of the hyperbole. I don't believe that they really care that much about the Palestinian people. I think that they see them as a tool in their war against the West and their war against Israel and things like this. And so for me, the problem I always tell people is, look, the best way to justify Israel's actions is to have the Iranians or Hamas, people like this who say death to Israel. Because how can you get along with that person? If you have someone next door to you saying death to you, you can do anything you want because they're saying death to you every day. So you can't live with that, right? You can do what justifies whatever you want to do. Everyone, as I always say about the Middle East, everyone can sit around and make deals as long as there's weapons on the table. And so then they're all friends. So, because weapons are great when you're, at each other's throats because you're from different religious sect or religious background, then everyone can come and make a deal for weapons. So we need to shift the entire economy of the Middle East away from weapons. And we also played into that, by the way. In the 70s, we started cutting big deals. We basically were saying when we got Saudi Arabia and these other countries to buy into the petrodollar, we said Iran as well in the 70s. We said, listen, we're going to recycle your petrodollars into our weapons. So you're going to start buying our missiles and our tanks and our planes and our guns, right? All that. So it's always been this weapons thing. And we got to start shifting the psychology of the Middle East out of weapons and jihad and all this insanity and shifting to peace, things that we can actually say, listen, it's like, it's turning your sword into a plowshare concept, shift it into a thing that you can actually trade and develop and give to your neighbor, or shouldn't say give to your neighbor, but trade with your neighbor. That needs to be the ideology of the Middle East now. We've got to get past this war ideology, which has been ongoing since Kissinger, Huntington, all these guys came in the 70s, Brzezinski, with this clash of civilizations ideology, which they were pushing, right? Let's create an arc of crisis, they talked about. Let's basically create this crisis that, since the petrodollar system in the 70s, since the Lebanon war started, civil war, since the Afghanistan war, which we fomented and supported jihad, since the coup against the Shah, which again I think the British and the Americans supported. Since that time, there's just been such chaos in the Middle East that's just been ongoing, and it's a heyday for the military industrial complex to sell weapons and to create fear, and we've got to get past that, man. So it starts with ideology. Can you stop looking at Israel as it no longer it doesn't have a right to exist, and shift to the fact that it does exist? Now, how do we make peace with neighbors based on technology, right? Based on food, security, basic concepts, so that we can see people working as neighbors and get past this idea that just because Israel may or may not have a right to exist in this modern day, the fact is it does exist, and these people are here. And now, with that great Middle Eastern sense of hospitality, let's welcome our neighbors and let's freaking make let's make it work.